How you doing, good people? I'm Dave Rubin. This is the Rubin Report. We have a TYT all-star panel. Ben Mankiewicz, Jimmy Dore. I think you know these guys, so let's get right to it. Jimmy, I appreciate the wave to the people. They like that.
People like to delineate between me.
Ben, do you want to give a wave or any sort of acknowledgement of the fan?
I'm Jimmy.
I do
That's
not.
Ben.
I would like you to take the one shot of Dave for a quick second, because I do like the rub rep. Seems like a better show. I gotta be honest.
That's the after hours show. We accidentally left that up. We'll do That's How We Finish Up. No pun intended. Anywho, okay.
I want to see that show.
You're going to be on that show.
Hi, I'm the Rub Rep.
So Edward Snowden was interviewed by Brian Williams for the NBC Nightly News, and he laid a couple bombs. I mean, huge breaking news. We've got two clips for you. Let's take a look at the first.
I was trained as a spy in sort of the traditional sense of the word, in that I lived and worked undercover overseas, pretending to work in a job that I'm not, and even being assigned a name that was not mine. But I am a technical specialist. I am a technical expert. I don't work with people. I don't recruit agents. What I do is I put systems to work for the United States. And I've done that at all levels, from the bottom on the ground all the way to the top.
Okay, that seems pretty huge. Nobody knew about this. Even President Obama was saying he was a low-level systems analyst or a low-level hacker. Everyone in the government has been saying that. We're obviously going to hear more about this, but this is huge, right?
I don't know. I don't know that it's huge. It's interesting, and the debate about who Eric Snowden.
That's the fake name.
What's his name?
Edward.
Jesus.
See, you're all crossed up 'cause
I
he's a
find
spy.
the debate about Edward Snowden interesting. and I like talking about it, but it's not really important. Like, it still only matters what he really. It still only matters what he released, and you know. And what we're going to do about it, like,
right.
and the debate that comes afterwards. Like, of course, the administration tries to minimize him, so that doesn't really surprise me, you know. And does it again? Suppose that we find out that he should have. That their argument could quickly shift from he's not high enough ranking to know better to now they could go he should have known better. You know. So I mean, I don't. That's why I don't. It's interesting. It's incredibly interesting, but I don't know that it really changes what the most important discussions about this ought to be.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, when you said that he dropped two big bombs, I thought it's because he's eating a lot of Salvadorian food, but that wasn't the case. And I like what Brian Williams giving us his serious face, which
Very
was nice.
serious.
But then he didn't do a follow-up because he had to take off. He had an improv class over at the UCB he had to get to right away.
He's doing a lot of comedy lately.
Yeah. What are we talking about?
Snowden.
Yeah,
He said he's a spy. Are you surprised?
Yes, because we've been what we've been told is that this guy is a low level. And I always said, well, if he's so low level, how come he has access to all this unbelievable information? Right. It turns out because he's a friggin' spy. And you said, but doesn't that make Obama look bad?
So that's right. So before the show, I was saying, well, then how did they let Obama keep going out there and keep saying he's a low-level?
Because that's what they do. They discredit. So whoever gives out information that they don't want to give out, they discredit him, just like they did with Valerie Plame and her husband when he discredited them. So it's just the conspiracies happen right out in the open, and then when someone says, hey, this is a thing that's happening, they just discredit him, and that's exactly what he's saying that they've been doing.
So do you think Obama knew? And then
yes.
think someone at the CIA?
I think we should maybe wait until we get some. Look, there's going to the United States is going to say something different about what his level of spying was.
Right.
My hunch is that there is probably a way that you can have his, if you're to believe he's a low-level position, if you actually describe. Look, he's a low-level position who, if it is a low-level position, who installed systems for the National Security Administration to keep our secrets safe. Like, it's not like a low-level employee at the Young Turks. I mean, it's not like it's so.
Right, he wasn't a janitor. This low-level stuff was still pretty.
Right, so even like there may not even be a difference in acknowledging what he did. It's just characterizing it. Like the NSA might say, listen, he has 37 people to report to before he got to the head of the NSA, and he'd go, I was essentially a spy. That's why. Like, I already see a conversation devolving nationally about this that then I wouldn't be that interested in. Like, I'm interested in his politics and what motivated him, and is he going to get prosecuted? Like, that stuff interests me. Again, none of it is as important as what he released and how we react to that as a country.
Right. So as you're both saying, of course, the government is going to look to discredit him, and he addressed that.
Now, the government might deny these things. They might frame it in certain ways and say, oh, well, you know, he's a low-level analyst. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to use one position that I've had in a career here or there to distract from the totality of my experience, which is that I've worked for the Central Intelligence Agency, undercover, overseas. I've worked for the National Security Agency, undercover, overseas. And I've worked for the Defense Intelligence Agency as a lecturer at the Joint Counterintelligence Training Academy, where I developed sources and methods for keeping our information and people secure in the most hostile and dangerous environments around the world. So when they say I'm a low-level systems administrator, that I don't know what I'm talking about, I'd say it's somewhat misleading.
I'm obviously very pro-Snowden. I'm pro the release of all these documents. There is something slightly cryptic about him, right? And maybe that just comes with the job.
You know, I was watching we watched it together, CNN's take on that. They ran that clip, and the CNN anchor, who I can't identify, but he could play an anchor man on virtually any television show.
He was very professional.
He was very professional. Afterwards, he said, quote, "A lot of energy he's putting into giving a sense of importance to his position. CNN won't take a stand on climate change," right? Right? I mean, they could literally bring someone on the network who will deny that evolution exists, but they'll take a shot at Snowden at the first opportunity. So I think you will see a lot of that. That said, he was really into giving himself a sense of importance. But if you were being minimized by other people, your any person's natural response would be to say, no, you're wrong.
And you're right. We can't get too caught up in the nuance of every little thing he says and how he says it, because that's not what this is really about.
Yeah, so I think that if you're CNN, going back to your point, if you're going to try and discredit Edward Snowden, you have to do it with facts. Like, oh yeah, he said he was a spy. Turns out he wasn't. Right. Turns out he said he worked overseas doing this. He didn't. You can't just go, wow, he's putting a lot of energy into trying to look like he's important. Wow. Well, did he say what he said was false? Well, it was true. Everything he said, he was. Right, so that's what's bullshit about that CNN thing.
The CNN thing was total bullshit. It was a weird bit of editorializing, and there's only one response to this: is you call the DIA and the CIA and the NSA, and you say, what was his job? And they go, we're not telling you. And then you say, by the way, we called these people to see if Snowden was telling the truth, and they wouldn't comment.
Right. So I'm
moving to the next fucking story.
I'm going to guess CNN won't do that, but somebody might do that. So my final thought on this: you think this guy's ever stepping foot in the U.S. again?
No.
Is there any chance? Definitely not.
Maybe if Jimmy Carter's president again.
Yeah, I think he'll step foot in the U.S. Look, I'm going to there is a scenario where he sets foot in the U.S. and he spends a little bit of time in jail. That's worked out. And that's what I'd do. That's how I'd handle it. I'd put him in jail. I've been consistent in that. I wouldn't throw him away. He's not a traitor, right? But you know, some of the things he gave up were things that he shouldn't have given up, because he gave up so much stuff. It turned out there was some stuff in there that probably shouldn't have gone. The NSA stuff is incredibly important, that we all know. Like, I'd put the guy in jail for 3 years, and we'd be done with it. He'd be in a federal. He'd be fine. He'd write a book. He'd be a gazillionaire afterwards.
Right.
Everybody wins.
Sometimes we just do this ourselves. You know, Obama went to Afghanistan the other day, and we accidentally outed one of our own spies by putting him on a list of people that were going to show up at Obama's event. So we do it whether Snowden's doing this or not.
Karl Rove, by the way, goes on Fox News and compares it to Valerie Plame. Says it's worse than Valerie Plame. He did it intentionally, and then lies about it on a regular basis.
If you're watching this video and it's loading slowly and you're in the United States, there is a reason why. The United States is now ranked 30th in broadband speeds, and we pay more than many other westernized nations. We've got some info for you. So US download speeds rank behind Iceland, Romania, Bulgaria, France, Russia, the UK, and many more. We also pay more, an average of $55 a month for broadband service, while countries with faster connections, like some of the ones I just mentioned, come in at about $45 a month. Hong Kong, which has the fastest internet speeds in the world, they pay about 40% less than we pay, about 31 bucks a month. I guess this shouldn't surprise us, because it seems like most of our stuff in the United States is not working that well. Our infrastructure, now our broadband. Is it weird that we're not talking about this more? Because everything's online. The computer, it's all online. Shouldn't we be more concerned about our slow-ass internet?
What struck me is, what I'm curious about, really, after reading that article, was how many of those countries, how much government investment and obviously, look, I get it. The government invested a lot in the internet to begin with, but to keep those speeds up to date, like, is it all? Do the businesses just do it themselves? Is that their motivation, or is that government work to make sure? Because there is a vested interest for business purposes, for every purpose that for the government's use.
I'm pretty sure those guys get subsidies from the government, right?
Yeah, I would imagine that they do, and we're leaving it up pretty much to, near as I can tell, and I don't have all the information here, but we're leaving it up to Comcast, trying to merge with Time Warner, which will have so many customers, there's no incentive for them to update it and make sure that we move into the top 5 or top 10, because when you have however many customers they're about to have, 120 million, whatever it is, if this merger is allowed to go through, they'll control half the country's high-speed internet, and they'll be like, what do we need? They're all paying $55 a month. We don't know what to do with all this money.
Right, so to your point, it's only getting worse. The Time Warner Comcast thing is only going to make this worse. And what was the one this week? DirecTV and AT&T? So that even, right, am I right? Did I just make that up? I don't think I made that up.
No, you did not make that up.
So it's only going to get worse because they have no interest because there's so little competition.
Well, I think Teddy Roosevelt taught us that huge monopolies are a good thing.
He did.
They help your economy. They help the general public. Everybody gets to get a piece of the pie when one person owns everything.
Yeah.
Isn't that? And by the way, we got to stop calling it broadband. It's 2014. It's woman band. Okay. I don't know why we keep doing that.
Sorry. I know.
No, but
With a Y, spelled with a Y.
Yeah, with Y.
Yeah.
So the last merger that they didn't approve, the federal government, was when. What was it? Not Sprint, but what's the other one? Wanted to be taken over by. Anyway, they did not let one of those mergers go by, which I couldn't believe.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Because you see, here's what, if the merger doesn't benefit the consumers, they're not supposed to let it happen. You're not supposed to let a merger happen because it benefits the company, but not the consumers. And that's what happens. So we're going to get less choice, right? When this merger happens, we're going to get less choice. We're going to get poorer service. We're going to get higher prices. Yet they're going to let this go through because we live in a banana republic. Not technically banana, but I like to misuse that term to mean corrupt.
You're close enough. What happened to USA #1? Are we #1 in anything anymore?
Were we #1 then? Right? No, I mean, we said it.
But we said it.
We are #1 in bankruptcies attributed to medical care. We are #1, I think, in the industrialized world in infant mortality. So we've got a lot of #1s.
So we've got a couple.
We're just switching. #1 in gun deaths. #1 in gun deaths. We got a lot of those #1s.
But back in the day, in those things, were there any that really? I guess at one point we must have had the #1 growing economy in the world.
We certainly had the #1 growing economy in the world, and we're #1 in war. They used to say about the Washington Senators before they left town. Washington was first in war, first in peace, last in the American League. Yeah. And but now we're not even a first in peace. I mean, no one would argue that with a straight face. I worry about that something like the internet, the way that again, it just feels like this us maintaining elite internet speeds and status, like that requires government intervention somehow. I'm not saying they have to pay to it, but then they have to subsidize it. They have to spur. Well, they would have to tell Comcast, hey, you have to if we're going to allow this merger, here's the deal. By 2022, we're 6th in the world. Make that happen, or whatever it is. Get the speed up to whatever it needs to be.
Yeah. Does the government, in a weird way, have a vested interest in our internet not being that good?
No, I think
by that we won't have access to information as easily.
Well, I think who benefits. So what I think should be happening is that the municipalities should be making internet available to everyone for free, right? Because they've done studies and they figured out that the places that do that, it actually helps everyone's business. If you're able to access Wi-Fi, no matter where you are inside of a city, business goes up, productivity goes up, tax revenue goes up. So it pays for itself. It's one of those things that helps kids get educated. Kids can get on the internet whenever they want, at school, at home, on the bus, no matter what. So so they could have Wi-Fi. So that's what of course, that's what we should be doing. Just like universal healthcare, we should have universal Wi-Fi and internet access because that helps everybody. It rises everyone. But of course we won't because there's money in a select few people in keeping it the way it is.
So speaking of those select few people, so we've done every week, we've been doing stories on net neutrality. So net neutrality got flipped. It was by an FCC appointed guy that was an Obama campaign bundler who also worked in the telecom lobbyist, as a telecom lobbyist. So between this story and net neutrality, is the internet as we know it really on shaky ground right now? Like, are we in our last
Our
sort of...
democracy's on shaky ground right now. We don't really live in a democracy that's where our leaders are responsive to the people that they are voting for, the voters. They're only responsible to the donor class. We say it all the time. And what happens when, look at the gun control, right? We talk about it all. 90% of the people wanted background checks. We didn't get it. What do you call that? What kind of government do we have? This isn't a democracy anymore. This is government by the few, for the few, and of the few.
Bring us home.
Well, that was pretty effective, bringing us home. I don't think with that, let's bring it. Let's take a nice broad finish and make it much narrower, because that's what we like to do in television. Sorry, the net neutrality debate is not over. That's the good news. It's important to keep talking about it. I'm not saying that we should be dismissed, but the FCC commissioners seem open to we're in the public debate period to hearing about it, to sort of hearing, and so. I don't know. I'm always a little optimistic. I know you think that's ridiculous, but it's not.
In this case, I'm not with you.
It's not signed and sealed yet, and part of it is that we talk about it and say that it needs to be preserved.
All right, there you go. Let's talk about old people and sex. That makes everybody happy. We're dedicating this segment to Blanche Devereaux, by the way. Old people are getting more STDs than ever. We've got proof. Between 2011 and 2012, STIs, sexually transmitted infections, increased by 3% for those between 45 and 65, and 7% for those over 60. When it comes to forgetting about safe sex, we always think of the vulnerability of young people, but there's the 50 Shades of Grey effect, where older people are being more explorative, but not necessarily remembering to use a condom, and that's from Dr. Jones, who's the chairwoman of the British Medical Association's GP Committee. So, yeah, go.
First of all, David pointed out that STIs is more politically correct than STDs. Who was making that argument? Yeah. What? Gonorrhea has always been super uppity about that.
Yeah. But we do have weird things about STDs and what we call them, right? Because which one was the clap? Was that gonorrhea?
Would you rather have a disease or an infection?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
That's it.
I don't know.
I'd rather have an infection than a disease.
I think I'd rather have a disease. An infection can give you sepsis. I'm afraid of sepsis.
You fear sepsis.
I fear sepsis.
I don't know what sepsis is.
Sepsis is when an infection goes horribly wrong.
Okay.
You don't want sepsis.
Yeah, you don't. You need to watch more House.
Oh, okay.
It's all sepsis.
It's all sepsis. Yeah.
Yes, old people having more sex, and then look, they weren't. They didn't.
Easy on the old people.
Older. Oh, right. Sorry, you
45 to 65.
They still have sex?
Yeah.
Are you guys in the 45 to? You
No,
guys
but
are
when I get
on
there,
the low end of
I
the,
predict
a lot of sex.
Yeah. Well, now they have Viagra too, so I think that probably has a lot to do with it.
Right. So between Viagra and then what they're calling the 50 Shades of Grey effect, that older people are being more sexually expressive.
Look, assuming that these aren't life-threatening conditions, so let's leave out, obviously, but I mean, a 3% increase in some and a 7% increase in others, it might not be worth it. I mean, it might be worth it to not use a condom. like I think we can all.
I didn't expect
we can all accept that. And if they're I figured that this was really a polite way of saying, look how many people in their 50s are now having anal sex. But they didn't want to. They
didn't specifically.
That felt too ooh,
That's the follow-up study that they didn't publish online. Why do we get so weird about older people and sex?
Again, older people.
Older.
45.
Well, all right, but when we think of people having sex, you think of people in their 20s, pretty much, or in their 30s.
I got to be honest.
No?
I don't know. There was a point. I'm curious this in your porn viewing habits. You're a younger man. Jimmy and I are basically the same generation. There was a moment. It happened on television, and it happened in sort of all fantasy, where all of a sudden, like the women I was interested in were all 38 years old.
Yeah.
Just like that. All of a sudden, it went from I see a gorgeous 22-year-old, and I think she shouldn't be dressing that way, right? and now I watch some show, and there's a beautiful blonde 41-year-old on television. I'm like, oh, that's nice. That's really great.
I'm the same way. They say that a lot. Who men are attracted to has a lot to do with how old their mother was when they were young. So I was born late in my mother's life, so I'm more attracted to women who are maybe over 40 years old.
Me too. My mom was 42, and that is literally the most depressing thing I have heard in months.
You two make me
No,
sick.
it makes it great for me because I'm married now, and I've been with my wife for 14 years, and I'm more attracted to her now than when we first started dating. So it's working out for me.
No, it's fine. It's
Wow.
working out. It's depressing that because what that gets to is you want to fuck your mom.
Oh,
At the end of the day, this is about fucking your mom.
it always is. Well, I mean, come on. They say when you're in bed, there's not just you and your partner, it's you and your partner and 2 other people, or 4 other people, her parents and your parents. They're all in bed together, and they're all kind of commingling, right? Come on, I'm the only one who watches Woody Allen?
You are a strict Freudian. Is it too late to teach older people, or what are we going to call them now? We don't want to call
People.
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 These people of a higher age. Is it too late to teach them all the safe sex tricks? Because they didn't grow up with that, with the sex ed,
Well, you
with
think
the
about
sex ed and the
having-
kids and the.
Having sex with an older person, it's like right in the middle, they stop to yell, "Get off my muff!" You know what I mean? It's instead of "Get off my lawn." But I just want to throw that joke out
Thanks
there.
for-
No, that was good.
Thanks for explaining.
Yeah, I thought there might be somebody at home who didn't get it.
But they don't know what muff is?
Muff.
Okay.
I didn't know I was using it in lieu of lawn, right? But
got
old
it,
people
I
still
got
do
it.
yell that, and you want to piss off an old person, walk on their lawn or park in front of their house.
It probably is a little tougher to sort of drive those points home. But again, if we're not seeing, I'm not minimizing, well, I guess I am, but a couple of things like chlamydia, like
Big
these
whoop.
big
The
whoop.
penicillin stuff, you're completely fine with.
Yeah, if it can be cured with an antibiotic, what are we talking about?
Yeah. All right, fair enough. Are you guys going to be having sex in your 70s and 80s?
I hope so. I certainly hope so.
With each other.
With each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
That's where it's going to go. That's where this is all leading. The sexual tension
hey,
between you two today.
Because I don't think you.
It's a good experiment.
The older I get, my desire for sex, it's just my ability, right? I'm tired. I get, all that stuff. Got a boner pill, what have you, and so I think I'll always want to have sex. It's just like
Yeah, but you just, other things get in the way.
it's like my back, had my
Right.
hip. Maybe if I stretch, I didn't have a coffee, I have a headache.
Right, or I
getting
could just
depressing.
stay here and be totally sedentary. Like that's always,
Yeah.
that's a very attractive option.
All right, well, let's go from sex to Republicans. This is actually pretty good. The AP is running a story right now about how the younger generation of Republicans are down with the gays and they are down with weed, and they gave us a couple examples. A college Republican group leader in Alabama was nearly kicked out of the party for supporting gay marriage, so that means a leader was down with gay marriage. That's something. The successful push to legalize gay marriage in Minnesota was backed by several prominent younger Republicans. In Colorado, the spokesman for a group that pushed to legalize marijuana was a Republican activist. So these are just a couple anecdotal things, but there is definitely a sense that on these social issues, mainly gay marriage and marijuana, that the Republicans are slowly coming along. This is good news. Am I right, Jimmy Dore?
Well, this is the way it's always been, right? The Republicans, the conservatives are always late to the party. So I don't understand how we still give any of their ideas any credence ever. So they've been bitching about gays forever, and now they're going to stop slowly. And so, but their next thing, and then marijuana. So they're going to stop bitching about marijuana, and then they're going to finally come around to climate change when they're all underwater, and they're going to come around to, so it's just like, what else are you guys? Of course, you guys are wrong. You've been wrong about everything. What haven't you been wrong about? You're wrong about civil rights. You're wrong
but
about
that-
the EPA. You're wrong about fucking our energy policy. You're wrong about suppressing the vote. What aren't they wrong about? So if you're a young person, what is it that's attractive about the Republican Party?
In those stories, what's great, because you're right about every single one of those issues. There's not one thing that they're right about, not one
Not
thing.
one.
Yet they still continue to manage to convince young people that they're better on the economy, that generic term of the economy, when we know full well that that's
They're not.
not
That's
true
just
either.
not true.
Right, it's just not true either.
Yeah.
So I don't, it's frustrating, and a lot of what it gets to too is what they'll never come around on is suppressing the vote and civil rights. Like
Right.
it's just they still like it's great. Hey, they're more open to black. I mean, they're more
So
open to gay
immigration.
people. Right, more open. But if the people look different, they're still not on board.
But they're good. That's going to go away too.
Yeah.
After they lose again in 2016, they will then become the party that's going to try and embrace Hispanics and immigrant. They're going to become that party.
Here's the
Does
pro-
that
but
matter?
here's
Does
the-
that matter at the end of the day if they do it for principle or for
No.
the desire to?
No,
it doesn't matter.
It
no
makes things
difference.
better down the road for people.
Yeah.
But here's why I don't think they'll do it, because if you think that I'm being too harsh about race and that plenty of young Republicans aren't racist, some of them don't know yet, like who they're in bed with,
Yeah.
right? But where they'll never come around, where they're always going to get resistance at the top of the party, is on wealth. They don't like poor people, and they never will. And so when there's this thought that Republicans after 2016 will come around on immigration reform, those people are still poor, and many of them still need government assistance, and they don't want any part of that. That is going to be a very tough reconcile for them, I think. And in that story, by the way, you see that like that in the list that you gave, that young Republican in Alabama, she nearly kicked out of the party. I think it was a woman. But the head of the Republican Party in Alabama was still like, that was very bad. Yeah. He was like that. We didn't like that. That was incongruous. It didn't work. So, I mean, like, those are anecdotal stories. And I mean, they're moving. It's incremental. They've moved the ball from the half-yard line to the 3/4 of the 1-yard line. I mean, they have 99 yards to go.
Losing elections moves them. It really helps move them.
Yeah.
Does it?
I think we could look at Jeb Bush. I think if Jeb Bush is the nominee, that he's going to change the party on immigration for sure forever.
Well, he loves immigrants now, right?
Yes.
He went from his brother was a compassionate conservative, and now didn't he say a couple weeks ago he loves immigrants?
Yes.
So
And
they're
he said
the
it's an
party of love now.
Right.
And he's, of course, and he has the Colombian part of his family. Well, half of his family's married to a Colombian.
Yeah, he said the people who come here, he said that they're doing it as a moral act. They're trying to help their family. They're being moral. That's what you're supposed to do. They want to come here and work and help their family, and we should try to help them instead of trying to shit on them.
So you're saying that's a cold, calculated political move and not something he necessarily believes?
I think it's both.
But it's going to require money. It's going to require, these people are poor. Many of them are dirt poor, and I think that's going to be a very tough sell for Republicans, because that is antithetical to who they are, helping other people.
Yes.
Who need help. They don't mind helping people who don't need help.
Right. Wait, so getting back to weed and gay marriage, though, so do you guys think that this is just going to be a state-by-state thing for both of them, or is at any point the federal government going to jump in?
Well,
because especially with gay marriage, I mean, it's just every week it's another one.
We've seen it. Yeah, look, eventually, realism will take over, and their important issues are making sure that the people who are going to vote for Democrats can't vote for Democrats.
Yes.
That's job one for them. Like the Pope, like there's a degree of, and you see some Republican attorneys general around the country realizing, I'm not going to fight this anymore. This is a silly thing. This is a silly effort to be fighting on gay marriage. Like, we're going to lose, and it's done. And like as the Pope said, hey, look, I'm against abortion and I'm anti-gay marriage, but I'm not interested in talking.
Yeah. I think what the Pope actually said was, if someone wants to invite me to a disco party slam, who am I to condemn them?
Good accent, good accent. Shouldn't the Tea Party and the Libertarians, so the Rand Pauls, shouldn't they be for legalization of weed and for gay marriage?
They are.
If they were,
Ron Paul was.
They are.
Well, right, but Rand Paul is not for gay marriage, as far as I know, and he's really sort of been weird about weed too. But he wants you to have individual liberty and individual rights. So isn't this wheelhouse stuff if they were being intellectually honest?
Well,
Yes.
you just fucked up your whole point. Rand Paul is trying to play a delicate game where he can be right-wing enough to get the nomination, and then for him it'll be then a fairly easy track to the center. Yeah, we know. We would presume about Rand Paul, he doesn't care about gay marriage and he doesn't care about weed. Those aren't that important to him.
Right.
Being a Republican, what he doesn't want to do is fall into the trap of being his father, who appeals to a bunch of kids in college, but when it really gets serious, that he's marginalized and seen it. He needs to be seen as, look at me, I'm enough establishment, but I'm still have this little cocoon carved out, and it would be very hard for him.
So we're agreed, though, in theory
Also, he's
that
incredibly dumb, and that's going to ultimately
that hair.
It's ultimately going to plague
Well,
him.
he's not only a member, he's also the club president.
Yeah, exactly. But in theory, they should be for gay marriage and legalization of weed, right? Libertarians, they should be. But is there a libertarian that is?
Conservatives
Should also be, right.
Yes.
But where are those guys?
Well, I mean, economic, I guess conservatives do, but social conservatives shouldn't. Right?
No,
I mean, of course they should, but they shouldn't if they're being true to their idea that there's a biblical order established and that the country needs to follow.
But the conservatives, correct me if I'm wrong, they're strict constructionists with the Constitution, so they would say less government, and it doesn't say in the Constitution you can regulate my marijuana or my marriage, so you don't get to do that. I think that's what a real conservative would say. The real conservative would say, I'm not for abortion, but I'm for the government staying out of it.
Right, but we're
so
talking,
that's the difference. So
right,
they
but
don't. They don't. They
well,
want the government to.
Because there's a marriage of those strict constructionists and religious conservatives.
Right.
That's the issue.
So final thought on this, which goes right to that. Is abortion next for them after these two things are sort of taken care of? Is there any chance that they'll see the tea leaves changing and that the huge numbers that support abortion, they'll just stop fighting it? They'll stop fighting something that is...
Are there huge numbers?
I think it's something, it's closer to like 60% now.
I don't think it's changed much.
No, abortion will always stay the same.
Right.
That will always be an issue for them because the science doesn't move forward. It's always the same thing. Either you think it's a baby or you don't, and so they can always tug at your heartstrings and get you to feel that way. So that's why this won't change, I think, but everything else is changing.
The abortion is a much more intellectually, to get to it, is a much more intellectually honest argument.
Yes.
Being anti-abortion. If you believe that, I
right.
don't, and I think it's dangerous to women to not believe that, but it is more intellectually honest, and nothing, I think Jimmy's right. I think those numbers have basically stayed the same, and as we saw in that story, young Republicans aren't actually moving on abortion. They are actually, they're still connected to the establishment.
And we do know that God is still anti-abortion because if you have an abortion and then have another kid, he will make it a Downs baby.
Kapow! All right, let's move on. Are you sick of your life? Well, there's an app for that. There is a new app called Stranger, and it lets you live through the life of a stranger. Is that confusing? Let's look at a video. All right, we got a little info there, but now we've got some facts for you. The app tracks your path, pulling related photos from Foursquare or Google Maps along the way. Neither person has to actively do anything. I think this is the interesting part. And no locations are ever specifically named, so anonymity is preserved. At the end of the experiment, each person has one chance to send a message to the other, either to say goodbye or to exchange contact information. So just to be clear about what's going on here, this is stuff that's all being pulled from your phone for 20 days. So you're not actively posting to it. It's just basically watching everything you're doing for 20 days. Part of me thinks this is cool, part of me thinks this is crazy. You know, we went from like, you know, when Facebook started, you actually were friends with the people that you were friends with. Then you suddenly became friends with people that were friends with your friends. Now you're friends with people you don't know, and now you're friends with people you don't even give a fuck about. So is this just the next natural step in whatever this whole phone is doing to all of us?
I can't think of a more useless application than this. Are you kidding?
You don't want to live anonymously as someone else, Jimmy?
You know, it's like all those people who do past life regressions. Turns out they were all kings. It's just that same thing. You know what? You never think the other person you're connected to is a fucking dock worker in Russia. You know what I mean? Oh, there's a guy who's unloading a truck in eastern Poland. Let's fucking see what he's doing all day. He's drinking, unloading shit, and then going to bed. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Right. So that's actually a great point. We have such short attention spans. What are the chances anyone could follow through with 20 days of being somebody else? People,
that was to Jimmy's point, that was literally the worst commercial I've ever seen. There were 5 different times where it said driving.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, oh, great, that's thrilling. Oh, now he's walking.
Oh,
this is
look,
fucking
it's
awesome.
quiet where he is. It's quiet there. Is he in an elevator or in a car? I don't know. It's quiet. If he was in an elevator, there'd probably be background music. So it's probably, oh, if it's a car, he's got to have his well. I don't know. I got to figure this thing out. Let's send him a message.
But Jimmy, couldn't this break down walls between nations? You could see how the Israelis could see how the Palestinians are living. The Russians could see how the Ukrainians are living.
They could just turn on the TV or go on the internet or read something. This is bullshit. This is unbelievable. This is a failure.
Give me something here.
This is going to be just as unpopular as the hula hoop.
I don't
which
see
did okay for a little while.
No, they did really well.
Oh, it did well, yeah.
I think that the beauty in it would be in the specificity, and they're bragging about the lack of specificity. Like, I don't bar.
Yeah.
Come on.
Like it
Bar.
should take naked pictures of you, but just black out your face, right? So
Right.
that, I'll be on for that. See what the person, but one other person for 20 days, you're supposed to go. You don't have anything going on in your life. I don't have enough time to get to the people I already fucking know to return their emails.
Yeah.
Now you're going to be tracking someone you don't even know who's probably boring. That's why they signed up for this thing.
Yeah.
I don't think interesting people do this.
This will fail, and then it'll 6 weeks into its failure, they'll be like, "How do we put a dick pic component into this?"
Well,
Yeah.
exactly. Or it gets bought for $3 billion, and then
Yeah.
Facebook does nothing with it.
There's there's Grindr and Tinder and all that shit. I mean, that's gonna. Are you kidding me? I don't.
I know, you're very optimistic that,
I don't know
that
why
an
I
Israeli and a Palestinian are going to be like, "Oh my God, we both go to the laundry."
I was gonna say, we both like hummus.
yeah.
We both like hummus, okay.
While I'm at a security checkpoint, they're playing Tetris.
Well, I thought maybe there was something here, but maybe this is because I'm a little younger than you guys?
Getting
Is that what's
frisked.
happening here?
Oh, look, you were making SodaStream bottles and then getting pelted with rubber bullets.
All right, it's not going to create peace. I tried, okay? Kill me. Well, let's move on. Is everything decided by your genes? The more and more studies are coming out proving that that's the case. Well, let's just start that over.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Are more and
I'm
more...
just talking about my jug. I was real proud of
I
myself.
got you. It was pretty good. Did you know that being a couch potato could actually be part of your genetic makeup? Yeah, it seems like everything is decided by our genetic makeup these days. Researchers at Aberdeen University worked with colleagues in China, and they did a study with ASAP Science, and they found out that that's pretty much the case. Let's take a look.
Scientists studying mice have found an interesting genetic connection. After separating mice into two groups, those that chose to run on their wheel more often and those that decided not to run as much, the difference was clear in their offspring. After 10 generations, the running mice would run on their wheels 75% more often than the other group, and by 16 generations, they were running 7 miles a day as opposed to the average 4 miles. It seemed their motivation for physical activity was genetic.
All right, is everything genetic? We like to think that it's not, and we control our fate and our destiny, but at the end of the day, is the primordial ooze controlling everything we're doing?
Did you guys react to this video the same way I did, which was like, mice run 7 miles a day?
It seemed like a lot.
Jesus.
That's a lot of running.
But I mean, they can't. They got their tiny little legs. I don't know, it's unbelievable. I'm sorry, what was your question about the primordial ooze?
That is a good question, though. What would be the equivalent? How many miles for a human would be 7 miles
I
per
don't
hour?
know, 10,000?
It's got to be a lot.
Yeah.
Well, you know, they're busy. I mean, that's what they're doing all
They
the
don't have a lot else to do.
Yeah, they're not working. We're
Yeah, they
sitting
don't do
here
that.
babbling about God knows what. They're out
So
there
that's
looking
like
for
the
cheese.
So that's like the difference between being a morning person and a night person, right? So that maybe that, like that's, I'm a night person totally. I kick something around midnight. I get a little energy in me and creative. They say most creativity happens at night. I was just reading a thing on whogivesashit.com, and but yeah, I definitely think that it's in your makeup. You see fat families, you know.
right. Yeah.
It is genetic, I think, and.
So how much do you guys think we control? How much do you think is actually, and
Less
you,
than
for
you
you,
think.
in a,
Less than you think, because I read all these books about our attraction to each other, the physical sexual attraction, and 99% of it is unconscious. You think you're making a choice, you think, well, I like this or that. You don't fucking know what you like, because it's all happening unconsciously. Like, they realize that that it's the hip to waist ratio that makes a woman attractive to a man or not if she's fat or skinny or whatever. It's all these weird things that go into it. So that's what I'm saying. More than you think, you're controlled genetically.
Yeah.
Later in that video, there's a great thing about the couch potato gene. Literally, that there is a gene that you're more likely to stay sedentary. Not just that you generationally learn to work out, but there is something in you that makes you want to stay and sit. You have to overcome that. I mean, I literally feel like I have it. It's very hard for me to motivate in a way that I think is beyond the normal human characteristic of wanting to sit around. Like I haven't worked out in 4 years. And now I can fucking blame my parents. This is fantastic. But like, you have to have it, and then they throw this sort of they throw this bone to you at the end, like, hey, but a lot of this is environmental, and so you have to overcome that. You
Yeah.
know, but I need a pill to overcome that.
Right. So you couldn't do it. So that's the part that I find fascinating. The part that you want to sit there, and I'm with you. I could watch basketball all day on a Sunday and not move, but at the same point, I could go to the gym and run around and be
but
just as happy. But you don't have that. And you don't think you can overcome it.
And I get none of that thing that we saw in the first part. I don't get this rush from working out. I don't. I get a rush from competition. I like to try and win things or lose things, but I like to be involved in something where the score is kept. But I don't get, like, when I run, I don't come back and I'm not like, oh man, what a rush, what a lift. I don't have that at all.
So you're not a competitive marathoner, you're more of a competitive sleeper.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
You'll have you're like an Olympic sleeper, right?
like
You
an
got a
Olympic
pillow
sleeper.
top.
That's
You got to
right.
just to jump into that, you got to have some dexterity.
What about
Those
you?
are
Are
high.
you able to overcome your genetic predispositions, whatever
First
they
of
may
all,
be?
I got to say, I got to challenge the veracity of Ben's statement that he hasn't worked out in 4 years. You're telling me that you haven't lifted and you got something like this? That is unbelievable. So, really, that's natural?
Yeah, that's right. Hard to believe. I know.
Busting
No
out of that
drugs.
suit.
No drugs. That's right.
You're not juicing.
Nope, not at all.
He's juicing and not working out, which is an odd thing to do.
I've never, I was always an active guy, worked out all the time. So I don't anymore, but that has nothing to do with my. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm telling you, you're more controlled. That's why, they say the journey of life is to becoming just aware, becoming awake, because we walk through life asleep.
That's right. Like over the years, like we learned that eggs are shitty, eggs are good.
They're
right?
good.
Yeah.
Right. Turns out they're good. For years in the 70s, like don't eat too much red meat, and then now maybe it's okay. Certainly for certain people, and protein is definitely good, and so there's been certain drugs are good, certain
Coffee.
drugs are bad. Coffee, it turns out it's good. Like
Great for you.
Great, really good for you. So. But one thing that has never changed, my doctor said, and it's totally interesting when you put it in this perspective, he's like, exercise. They knew it then, they know it now, it helps. It adds years to your life. I have a daughter, I want to stay healthy, and I have this sense that even that is not going to do it for me. And I think that there's a predisposition. I'm not a crazy person.
But do you have a sport you enjoy? Do you play
I
basketball?
love playing basketball. I love playing softball. I love playing things that keep score. It's just hard. You get old. It's hard to find 6 other guys to get together and keep
He
score.
loves playing basketball so much that TYT plays every Sunday.
And I
I've
haven't
played for a
gone.
year and a half on every Sunday. Never been there.
I got injured like 3 years ago, and I haven't
no.
really returned.
Right, yeah. No, injury. I got an injury and it took me out. So, I hurt my back, so I don't play anymore. But I'd like to. I miss it. I'm better than you guys.
On that note, get up off your fat ass, do some exercise. You can watch this while you're on the treadmill. That's where I do most of my interneting. Ben, Jimmy, thank you guys, and we will do this again next week. Bye-bye.